Hello, everybody. How you doing? Okay, well, let's change of plans. Alan couldn't make it, so I'm just going to make a quick brief. I'm sounding like Joe Biden. I'm going to make a quick and brief video. I'll just reiterate what I said this morning. So I am going to have another discussion with Jim Willie that I'll make public. And I have conversations with people all the time, and I usually record them, and a lot of them are private. Like with Gonzalo Lira, I made those public because before it was announced that he was murdered, I put out those videos in a hope to generate support for us to contact our politicians and demand his release. But I'm not going to go down that path here. So this YouTube channel was actually deleted by YouTube for a couple months, and it was because of the Jim Willie interviews. And so the only way that I can post anything online is to basically edit it in such a way. And that's what I try to do, is I try to edit the videos and put it on Rumble or YouTube. So the thing with Jim Willie, as I mentioned before, if you go to Jim Willie's website, which is thegoldenjackass.com, something to that effect, you can see that you can hire him. You can pay him for his time. Okay? It's not free. And so what I'm doing is if I'm going to make this public and people want to join, then I'm going to charge for the time. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep it private. There's no point. And I'm not really, yeah, this is Mexico. You could be in the middle of nowhere and there'll be people working and noise, motorcycles, workers. It's just the way it is. So I'll just give it a minute as he leaves. Okay, well, I think this is a faster live stream than I planned, because I'm not going to sit here and talk to myself. I'm feeling actually a little bit, I guess mean is the best word that I have. I'm really not feeling magnanimous or generous or kind right now. I actually developed a rash on my skin, and it's gotten progressively worse, even with the use of medication so we'll see. And when your skin feels like it's on fire, it's not the most pleasant feeling. So I don't know how many people are involved in the markets. That's something that's going on. We have Trump, New Hampshire, and I was chatting with somebody online. I lived in New Hampshire for 25 years, so I know how the system works. It's an unusual state when it comes to primaries in that a lot of states will not allow you to be a registered voter and be registered as a libertarian. You have to, independent. So many states will force you to register as a Republican or a Democrat. I mean, you want to talk about if people can't see how corrupt the system is with that we have a two-party system. As George Carlin says, the important thing is they give you That's the other thing where Starlink goes in and out. Let me see if I. Okay. So we have another election coming up, and it's not going to matter. None of these politicians will make a difference because they're all bought. The Congress is bought and paid for. The rules are for, as they say, the rules are for thee and not for me. And you can see it by how they all participate. Well, I shouldn't say all because I can't say that. The majority of them participate in insider trading, which is not illegal for them. So they can participate in creating a law that affects a certain company. They know it's going to affect that company, so they can trade on that company. They could trade that company's stock knowing this information before you know it, before even the company knows it. And so you can make a lot of money that way. But when something's broken, it makes no sense to not address that it's broken and it needs to be changed. Like Joe Biden. Joe Biden is broken. He needs to be changed. I mean, he's clearly not in charge of the country. So there's a cabal or a secret group behind him that are running the country. They're making the decisions. It's like the movie Dave, where the president became incapacitated and they put in some guy who looks just like him, and they ran the scenes. So I'm not a Kamala Harris fan, but constitutionally, Joe can't stay. He can't stay. And it's even a bigger facade that Joe is going to be put up for re-election. If you vote for Joe Biden because you're voting against Donald Trump, you've got your head up your ass. Really, truly. Because I'm not necessarily a Donald Trump fan, but if this is who the Democrats are going to put up for election, then they deserve to get 0 votes. 0 votes. It's like Fetterman. Fetterman had a stroke, and he had mental damage, and the people in Pennsylvania still voted for him. Ridiculous. I mean, if our standards sunk so low, again, not that it matters, but let's pretend it does matter. I mean, I don't know. So this is why our country is falling faster than a rock off a cliff, because we have no standards. We accept everything today. How can you be great at anything if anything will do? So, okay. I don't know if anybody's hearing me. I will put the link in the comments if anybody wants to join the conversation. And if not, then we'll call it a day. So once again, Jim Willie, I'm going to be chatting with him in the next week or two. Don't have an exact date with him yet. And if people want to participate in that conversation, because it's not going to be public, it's going to be a private conversation. If people want to participate, if you want to ask him a question, if you want to come on and get a chance to talk to him, then this is your chance. I'm giving people that opportunity. Hold on. So I've had people ask me before if they could come on and chat with Jim when I've been on. So this is the opportunity. So I'm basically giving that opportunity. So if that's something that you're interested in, if you're a Jim Willie fan, or if you have something specific you want to ask him, this is your opportunity. So what I ask is you put in the comment section. Yeah, hi, Jack. Yeah. As I was saying, the Jim Willie, it's not going to be a public conversation. It's going to be a private conversation. And so I don't know how many people I can put on. I'm going to have to check what this thing allows. I don't remember what the limitation is on how many people. So basically, I use what's called StreamYard, which is, in my opinion, superior to Zoom. But I could use either one of those options. So I pay Jim Willie a consultancy fee when I talk to him. So if people want to ask a question, then I'm asking, and the way I look at it is if a question takes 5 minutes, then I calculated it to be, after all the fees from the banks are taken out, I think $25 is the equivalent of 5 minutes of his time, believe it or not. Yeah, once you take out the fees. Yep, it's like hiring a lawyer. Hopefully you never have to hire one of those. Yeah, speaking of which, somebody sent me a video of this guy named Brendan Kavanaugh in London. And since I used to live in China, they wanted to ask me my opinion on it. And there's actually a friend of mine who has a YouTube channel. He actually lives in China, and he's been making videos on it, and he's getting a lot of views on his videos. So I'll put that in the comments when I'm done here. He's changed his channel name so many times I can't remember. I think he calls it now Chopsticks and Train Travel or something like that. But so this guy Brendan Kavanaugh, he's a piano player. He's fantastic. I was not aware of him, but he's one of these guys where I'm sure everybody who spends any time online has seen these videos where people play the piano and then people come in and join them, or they play instruments and then on the street and people come in. So I guess this mall in London has a piano and people come up and he plays requests. Well, it turns out that there were a group of Chinese from mainland China, and they were in the mall, and they came up to him and they said, "You can't put us on your video." And Kavanaugh looked a little confused. He's like, "What? What? What do you mean I can't put you on the video? What are you talking about?" He goes, "We're on your video and we want you to take us off. You can't put us up there." And he's like, "Hey, mate, this isn't mainland China, man. This is a free country." No, I don't want to debate Brendan Kavanaugh that England's a free country, but technically I guess it is a free country when you compare it in the systems. And so it's very interesting because it almost went to something physical. And then I saw a follow-up video where the English guy Kavanaugh, somebody contacted him and said that the Chinese woman in the group was telling this guy who was so aggressive not to shoot the English guy. So now that would have been something if the Chinese guy pulled out a handgun and blew away Brendan Kavanaugh. That might have been an international incident, especially since guns are pretty illegal in the UK, I believe. So, that was something that was interesting. I saw part of the video. I didn't watch the whole thing. But what I was going to say is, when we talk about always filming, Brendan Kavanaugh did an excellent job, because when it comes to interactions with the police or interactions with anybody, with the technology that we have today, always pull out your cell phone and film, always. And if a cop tells you, "You can't film me, it's illegal, I'm throwing you in jail," say, take me away, and you'll get a huge settlement for violating your civil rights. And because, so there was a woman police officer who was telling him to shut off the camera. And as it turns out, what she was saying was completely illegal. Well, it would be illegal in the United States. I don't want to say it's illegal in the UK because I don't know their system. But if a cop was saying that to you in the US, you'd have a case against them. And we won't go down this rabbit hole, but there's a lot of very, very bad police officers out there. And the problem, as usual, that we started with, if the system's broken, the cops aren't fixing it. They know they have a lot of bad apples, and they don't do anything to fix it. In fact, our culture tends to reward these people. If you've ever heard in the military that they have an incompetent fool in a job and he gets promoted, and everybody's like, how does that happen? Well, they're just trying to get rid of the guy. So it's a lot easier to promote him and get him out of there than trying to have him busted down or busted out. They just want him gone. And I think that might be true with some of these people in government life. And when I was a child, I remember this vividly. I was probably 8 years old. And I remember I was talking to this guy who worked for the city. And I remember having a conversation with my father. And the amount of money that the city workers made, it wasn't a lot of money. It was enough to live on, because back in the 70s, you could live like a man could go to work, have his wife at home with his 2 or 3 kids, and he would make, even in an average job, he could make enough money to buy a house, pay his mortgage, pay the bills, live the American way, right? The American way. That's what it meant. And then his kids would do better. And back then, you inherently knew that a government job was low pay in comparison, but it was low risk. You could get a job for life, get a pension. Back then they had pensions. So you'd work your 40 years, 30 years, whatever it was, and you would have a pension. And you'd be able to retire, go to Florida, live your 5.5 years, and die. And that's what people did. Even the big companies back then, like Raytheon, right? Raytheon, you could go to work at Raytheon and then work your 30 years, get a pension. They no longer have pensions. They now have 401k programs, which is a whole nother scam. So now, I don't know when it was, maybe 9/11. After 9/11 probably is when the system changed. Now it became government. Everybody just wants to suck on the tit of government. And what I mean by that is whether you want to get a contract with the government so that you can overcharge for toilet paper or hammers or whatever it is, whether with police officers or firemen or some of these other city jobs, you could actually get a double pension, and you could get a job as a cop or a fireman and also get a job as a reservist. Do both of those for 20 years. And today, cops, if you look at the top earners in your city or your town, I will be willing to bet you that it is, in most cases, a cop or a fireman. In some cases, it's like a superintendent for schools. There's another racket. Superintendents of schools, and then these principals for each school. I mean, it's such a joke. Such a joke. It's not set up to teach anybody anything. It's an old boys network. But yeah, it's about it. Okay. All right, everybody. That's it. So yeah, this happens. This happens occasionally where, you know, you have somebody coming on and they don't come on, and you either can choose not to do it or you can choose to chat about something. But yeah, so there's so much going on. We are definitely living through history, and I think 2024 we're going to see some things that, because we've already seen things that nobody ever thought would ever see. Well, I think it's going to continue to escalate, and it could be quite interesting. So if you have any questions about anything I said, then leave a comment and I will reply. I try to reply to every comment. Have a great night. Peace.